What is the broad road of destruction? We read, "Enter in by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many are those who enter in by it. How narrow is the gate and restricted is the way that leads to life. Few are those who find it." Matthew chapter 7. In this very brief message, I would like to point out something very profound about this passage that you probably didn't notice. Notice that this is a word picture of the whole world entering the New Jerusalem, the kingdom of God. It is the great masses of mankind who enter in through the broad road of destruction, but they do enter in. This is because destruction is always a prelude to restoration by God. We read, "However, I will restore the fortunes of Sodom and her daughters, and of Samaria and her daughters, and your fortunes along with them." Ezekiel chapter 16. This passage is telling us that God is going to restore the people of the wicked city of Sodom, releasing them from their captivity. But not only that, God is going to place them in the very midst of the people of Israel itself, because the prophet Ezekiel declares that Israel was actually worse than Sodom. So then what was the sin of Sodom? Speaking to the people of Israel, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore I did away with them, as you have seen." Ezekiel chapter 16. In other words, the prophet Ezekiel is saying that Israel was actually less loving and less hospitable than even the wicked city of Sodom. The broad road looks easy. It is the road of self-centeredness. It is the road of ignoring people in need and not loving people. It is the road of not being in submission to Christ. It is the path that Sodom took, the path that first leads to destruction before God's restoration. And Sodom isn't alone. The prophet Ezekiel reveals that most of Israel herself was taken down the same hard road into the kingdom. The Apostle Paul explains, "For God has imprisoned everyone in disobedience, so he could have mercy on everyone." It is the narrow gate of submission to Christ alone that leads directly to new life. Everyone else goes into captivity first. Much like a conquering nation would bring the people of a conquered city back in chains. This is not how we want to enter the kingdom of God, as prisoners in chains. We want to enter in as servants of the Lord. You don't have to go down the long, broad road of destruction to enter into the kingdom like all the masses are doing. You can submit your life to the King of Kings today by declaring him as your Lord and following his commandment of love. When we submit our lives to the King of Kings, Jesus Christ, that means from now on we do his will. Don't be like the people of Sodom, arrogant, overfed, unconcerned, not helping the poor and needy. To be a follower of Christ, we need to love people, not merely in word, but in deed. Otherwise, you are heading to the kingdom down the broad road of destruction like everyone else. God bless you, and thank you for listening.